Sorry about that. Yes, we had some technical difficulties. I don't know what is going on. Let me know in the chat if you hear me fine. I don't know why I didn't play the little 30-second countdown or anything, but nonetheless, we will fight through these technical difficulties because we are here. Thank you all so very much for hanging out with me. Anybody that's watching the stream after the stream, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day, and everyone that's here currently and coming in the meantime, I appreciate it. Thank you so very much. What is going on, real quick, before we dive into the conversation? What is going on, Rays? Appreciate you. Howdy, hear you. Okay, good, good. Yeah, I have no idea what happened. We had like a minute of like just nothingness, but we're back. We're here. What is up, Austin? Appreciate you. That's the thing with these live streams, right? They never go perfect when you want them to. But nonetheless, again, we're here. So, lots of crazy news. Let's dive right into it. So, obviously, many of you may be aware by now that Kevin Durant to the Boston Celtics was at least a discussion. And, it's one of those things where good sound is okay. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, like I said, I don't know why that happened earlier. But when it comes to what's going on with the entire Boston trade, obviously it's just words. You don't know for sure until something is actually executed. I personally don't think Boston should do it. I think Boston's on the right track. They're young, they're good, they're hungry. They have all of the elements to be successful. I still think that they were a Chris Middleton away from not being in the NBA Finals. But hey, nonetheless, they got there. Everyone had the same playing field. They had quite the road to get to the NBA Finals, so they deserved it. Playing the Nets, who were the favorites to begin the season, and then playing Milwaukee, playing Miami, and then have to play the Warriors. So they definitely earned the right to be there. But as always, a couple things had to go their way, which they did. But I still think that experience, I think all of the ins and outs was very important for their progress and their future and things like that. But now Kevin Durant obviously is an upgrade over Jaylen Brown at this point. Jaylen Brown's still young. He's going to grow. He's going to improve. He's going to get better. But I mean, Kevin Durant is Kevin Durant. But again, I don't think that the Boston Celtics are in a position where it's like we need Kevin Durant. And it comes down to what you give up. If you give up Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, and like 2 firsts, I can understand the argument. I'm not completely opposed to it, but I do think that they're in a better position to just wait it out. Just be patient and wait until you actually get, there. A lot of these teams are going to age themselves out, stuff like that. And you're young enough to where like none of your guys are even in their primes yet. But I think that if the Celtics really believe like we are a Kevin Durant away from winning a finals, I could see them doing it. Whether that's true or not, we'll see. But I will say one thing though, is that if Kevin Durant goes to the Celtics and they don't win, that's going to be a disaster for not only the Boston Celtics, but Kevin Durant also. Even though it's not, Kevin Durant's not choosing to go there, stuff like that, but still, it's one of those things that it's just not a good look for him. He failed to lead his team in the Brooklyn Nets to a title, although he was a toe line away from maybe being in the finals. But nonetheless, the result is the result, right? But I do think it'll be an absolute disaster. The problem with this, though, is even if they don't do the trade, what's going to happen with Jaylen Brown now? Because Jaylen Brown can't be happy. I mean, we saw the tweet. If you haven't seen my video from earlier, check it out after this live stream. There's the tweet that he did. It was a simple, shaking my head tweet, but still, he went from like, I'm the dude that showed up in the finals. I'm the dude that was putting up 20-point fourth quarters. Why, Jason Tatum completely disappeared. Like, and now you want to trade me for Kevin Durant? Like, I thought I was your guy, and so I can understand the issues with that. I can understand the being upset with that whole thing. But I do think that it's going to be interesting to see what develops with that. Here, let's jump into a couple questions real quick. I hope Jaylen Brown leaves Boston. He was their best player in the finals, and they offered to trade him. Exactly, that's my point. Exactly. You go from like that's how he's got to be looking like that. Like, dude, I was your guy. I've been the dog here. I've been the one constant. Like, and now you're gonna ship me out. Like, like I understand it's Kevin Durant, but man, like, I'm not no scrub. Like that's how I'd be looking at it, and that's what I'm saying. They might not have a choice now, but to get that deal done. Because Jaylen Brown, he might just say, you know what, I want you to trade me now. You wanted to trade me, trade me. That's what you wanted. Do it. Trade me. I don't want to be here no more. What is going on, Emily? Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. It's not going to happen. Watch. I mean, I don't rule it out at all. I think it's, not very likely. But I mean, you never know. You never know. Usually where there's smoke, there's fire. Now that doesn't always mean that, the fire ablazes, but sometimes it does. Sometimes it just smothers itself out. So we'll see. I hope so. Yeah. What is going on? Appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here, JJ. But what else we got? As a Laker fan, I'm torn on the Boston thing. On one hand, KD to them would be sick, but on the other means Lakers might get Kyrie. Would suck. I thought you were gonna. I thought you meant sick. Okay, might get Kyrie would also be an awesome finals if they were to meet. Yes, and this is a perfect point. Why I named the title that. Could you imagine that storyline? The Lakers and the Celtics are both at 17. The Celtics go and get Kevin Durant. The Lakers get Kyrie Irving, and they meet in the finals. The winner gets banner 18. You cannot write a better story than that. Seriously, you cannot write a better story than that story of the two people that were on the team together who were best friends and were supposed to lead their teams to a finals, both meet in the finals. You have, both teams, historic teams, the Lakers and the Celtics, meeting in the NBA Finals, and the winner is the tiebreaker. That would be absolutely incredible. As a Laker fan, it would suck to have to face Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum, stuff like that. But not gonna lie, I like our odds. If we have Kyrie, LeBron, and Anthony Davis, if we have a dominant Anthony Davis, LeBron is LeBron, and Kyrie can be Kyrie. That could be, and I think we would see a real Kyrie. Seriously, I think you'd see a Kyrie that's like, hey, watch, I'm gonna show you, Kevin Durant, why you needed me type thing. I could see that just being just the headlines, the stories, the beauty of that. I mean, and that's just sports, right? Like those epic clashes end up meeting, and it's just crazy and bizarre and everything in between. I would absolutely love if that was to happen. But I don't want to get my hopes up too high because KD, one, would have to go to Boston. Two, Kyrie would actually have to go to Lakers. Although I do think Kyrie goes to Lakers eventually. Kevin Durant, that could be kind of interesting. But another kind of a point would be that I think Kevin Durant, if Kevin Durant gets traded, that's the first domino to fall. I really do. I think Kevin Durant gets traded, boom, you got. I could see Kyrie getting traded shortly after, Donovan Mitchell, all of that stuff. So depending on how this all shapes up, Kevin Durant would be the first domino that sort of leads to the other dominoes falling. What else we got? Are we going to get Kyrie? I don't know. I mean, especially if Kevin Durant gets traded, I think so. I think it's inevitable. But apparently Kyrie wants to stay with Brooklyn now. I don't know what to believe anymore. So that was if you actually watched and read it. So it's the old report. He's just bringing up the old report. It's not anything new. And that whole report stemmed from an anonymous source that was close to Kyrie and all this stuff. It's just, yeah, it was just being rehashed on the Pat McAfee show. They were talking about what's going on with Kyrie, and it was the last thing I heard was this. I was thinking about making a video, posting a late video about this, kind of just giving people my thoughts and all that stuff. So we'll talk about that a little later tonight. But neither of these scenarios are happening. We'll see. I mean, hey, you never know until it is. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying it's not. But you can't rule it out either way. If stranger things happen in the NBA, anybody could be traded. You never know. And usually where there's smoke, there's fire. Again, doesn't always mean that it pans out that way, but sometimes it does. They doing Jaylen Brown wrong. I agree 100%. I really do. Honestly, and I know Celtics fans might feel otherwise. And obviously they can't do the trade because of the rookie extension deal. But if it came down to like we need a trade for Kevin Durant and it's Jaylen Brown or it's Jason Tatum, I would trade Jason Tatum before I trade Jaylen Brown. And it's not that I think Jaylen Brown is better. I don't think Jaylen Brown is better than Jason Tatum. I just think that Jaylen Brown and his mentality and the way he plays and just everything is just like if you put Jaylen Brown's mentality into Jason Tatum might be the best player in the league. Like Jaylen Brown is that dog. Like he was the one that was single-handedly, trying to take over games and putting up 20 points in the fourth quarter. And it's like, dude, if Jason Tatum just gave you like 6 points, like you'd win this game. And he just was completely absent. And it happens a lot. We see Jason Tatum just disappear time and time and time again. And he's even talked about it. He's even talked about how I don't feel like I'm the guy at times. And I don't know if I can be the guy to lead a team. And, and I don't believe I'm as good as people think I am. And all this, like that is from him. He said that. He doesn't believe he's this superstar. And he is. He's an incredible talent, an incredible player. And my concern is if you trade Jaylen Brown and you trade Marcus Smart, who is going to be that voice in the locker room? Because Jason Tatum isn't that guy, and neither is Kevin Durant. So your 2 best players are the guys that are going to be the least vocal. Like, who? Al Horford, maybe, I guess. But, yes, you have the coach, Ime Udoka. There's the ties there with Kevin Durant, stuff like that. Cool. I understand that. But the coach can be a vocal leader, but you need that player. You need that guy that everyone respects, that everyone listens to, that can get in your grill and go tell you to, F yourself, all that stuff. You need that guy to help keep everybody in line. And if they end up trading Brown and Smart, there goes all that. You lost all of that. So that's just something to keep in mind too. Is a trade happening? Nothing's confirmed yet. Just new reports that came in today. And I figured they were worth talking about, worth having a conversation about. Whether they happen or not, we'll see. Nuggets should low-key trade for Jaylen next to Murray in the backcourt would be nice. I mean, hey, I would love that. I don't know how you'd be able to do that, but I mean, because the problem is the only other person they have is Mike Carter, not Mike Carter Williams. Why am I blanking on his name? Porter Jr. Or whatever. You know what I'm talking about. I don't know why I'm blanking on his name right now, but yeah, all they have is him and MPJ, and they just Michael Porter Jr. Yeah, so I was right. Okay, and they just have that. Outside of him, like who else do you trade for? And there's so many question marks with him. I don't know if you could make that happen. Yes, Jaylen should ask for a trade. I think so too. I mean, because you got to feel slighted. You got to feel slighted. Check. Made it on time. Appreciate you, DM. Thank you all so much for being here. And real quick, we are on the road to 4K subscribers. I'm going to sprinkle this out throughout this live stream as people, are coming in and out, stuff like that. So bear with me. But we are 44 subscribers away from hitting 4K. If I could hit 4K on this stream, that would be a blessing. So please hit that like button. It helps get people into the stream, and it also helps after the video. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe to this channel. Please help me get to that 4K. That would be amazing. Other than that, let's keep going. KD for Jaylen is good. I think it is a good trade. I don't really know why Boston would want to do it, though. I mean, KD is definitely an upgrade. And I do think, like, if you had Kevin Durant in the finals, they probably would have won. Because you would have had that guy that could have closed out, a lot of the mistakes. You would have had somebody that's been there. I just don't think it makes the world of sense for them, unless they just don't think the Tatum and Brown duo can win a championship together. I mean, that's always a possibility. I don't know. I mean, I understand it's an upgrade currently, but I just think that they're better off just being patient. It's just talk to give people something to talk about till the regular season. KD, Kyrie, and LeBron and the Lakers have been carrying ESPN the whole offseason. I mean, absolutely. That's always a possibility. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's good conversation starter, right? It's good discussion. It's good talks. People want to talk about it, whether they agree, whether they disagree. At the end of the day, isn't that all we're looking for? Just good conversations, entertainment, stuff like that. So can't be too mad at it. Lakers would win. Yeah, I think the Lakers will win. Like if you're talking Like if you just look at the teams in comparison, if the Lakers have Kyrie and assuming Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart go away, I think the Lakers have more talent um, overall. Let's go James. Yeah, KD will play better under Aduku. He's better than Nash. Oh, absolutely. I mean, well, and they have the connection, being a Nets assistant, all that stuff. So yeah, Lakers wouldn't win. I don't know. I disagree because I mean, Anthony Davis is still a mismatch. Al Horford's going to stop Anthony Davis? Like, come on, like that's not happening. You get a dominant AD, they would have no one to stop Anthony Davis, no one to stop LeBron James, and then Kyrie's going to be Kyrie. So I mean, look at it like this. Okay, let's take the stars because the role players are the role players, and you don't know how the role players are going to show up. You don't know what's going to happen. But let's just take the stars, right? Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart go to the Nets. So you got that trade, and you got Kevin Durant. So Kevin Durant and LeBron James wash each other out. Okay, let's say Kevin Durant is slightly better. Okay, let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, at this point, LeBron's an 8 and Davis and Kevin Durant is a 9. Okay, so 1 point the Nets. You have Anthony Davis and Jason Tatum. Who's better? A dominant Anthony Davis that can block shots, hit threes, do everything, or Jason Tatum? I would say Anthony Davis. Okay, so let's say Jason Tatum's a 7, and what? Anthony Davis is a 8 or 9. So there you go. Okay, well now who's the third? Who's the third on the Celtics? Al Horford, Brown. Like who's gonna keep up with the Kyrie Irving thing? Like if you remove all the role players and you just say like what are the 3 guys? Because you don't know how role players are going to perform. Like the Lakers could have 2 of the role players just ball out in the finals. Kendrick Nunn. If you still have Kendrick Nunn, he was a guy that was in an NBA Finals averaging 20 points a game. So like who are they? I think the Lakers will win that series. Chemistry, all kinds of stuff goes into it. But you got a LeBron James and Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving against Jason Tatum and Kevin Durant. I think you win. I think they win that series. I seen your message. Thanks for responding, IG. No problem. Of course. Anybody that may reach out to me on like social media and stuff. I don't do it a ton, but I don't do social media a ton. But if you ever message me or anything like that, just be patient. I got a world of things going on. So, but I don't think he means the player. I think he means the coach. If the Lakers ate enough bubblegum, they could beat the Celtics in the finals. Laker fans been saying, I think we can win with headlines since the bubble chip. I mean, yeah, of course. That's always the headlines. But we won on the bubble chip. People act like that was like 10 years ago. That was literally 2 years ago. Like they won the bubble chip. So it was not like we're that far removed. We're literally 2 seasons removed, but it was really like in the time frame was a season and a half. Nice to put the face to the voice. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I've done several live streams, but yeah, I don't think nonetheless, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Thank you. Kevin Durant said he is not going to Boston. Shaking my head. When did he say that? It's not like he has a choice. Like he's on a 4-year deal. And when did that? He was going to Boston in 2016. Like he took a meeting with them. Like that was at one point that was the favorite to land him, and then all that changed. I feel it. Wouldn't even happen. KD gonna stay. I mean, at this point, I do think he does stay. I mean, I've been saying that for a while now. I just think the well is drying up. But if they can find a trade that they like, I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, seriously, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, and like 2 first-round picks, or if the Celtics want to give them a third, like what trade is going to be better than that? You're getting a bona fide all-star young talent and Jaylen Brown, who's a 2-way player. You're getting another solid guy in Marcus Smart, and you get 2 or 3 firsts. Like, what deal are you going to get? Realistically, what deal are you going to get that's better than that? Even next year. Like, that's a really good deal. You basically replace Kevin Durant, and you got your future cornerstone. You got Marcus Smart, who could be solid, and then you still have all your other pieces and all your shooters and stuff around them, and then I don't see how that would be a bad thing at all. Please send this guy some love. Please like and subscribe both of his channels. As it stands Lakers, kudos to you. Keep it up. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the love and support. Yes, and please, as it says, hit that like button. It really does help during the stream, after the stream. Also, we're almost to 4K. We need 43 more subscribers, and we're at 4K. It's 200 of you beautiful people in this stream. If there's 40 of you that aren't subscribed, subscribe to the channel. It really helped out. And I do have a Lakers channel, As It Stands Lakers. I even have a link for you in the description. So if you're a Laker fan, head on over there, subscribe there as well. All things Lakers, in and outs every day. That would end up being the best finals in this generation. Kyrie Brown, yeah, absolutely, 100%. Like I said, you could not write a better story. Both teams are deadlocked at 17 championships. You have the two best friends in Kyrie and Durant that were just on the team the year prior. And then they just have this crash course to the NBA Finals. Winner is the leader in the banner race all time. Not just that, but I mean, yes, for generation, but I mean, you're talking about a generational matchup. Because the Celtics had the lead, had such a large lead, even in 2010 and stuff like that. It just, it didn't have that same this. They're tied. Lakers caught up. They're both at 17. The winner gets number 18. You got LeBron on the Lakers playing the legendary Celtics team. You got Kyrie playing his old team, and he's playing against his buddy Kevin Durant. What story is better than that? Is the best narrative you could possibly write. Come on, that would just be a fantastic. Boston don't care about they players. Y'all forget Isaiah Thomas. It's not a bad point. They did do him very wrong. Danny Ainge did him wrong. He's gone. Yes, very true. Jaylen Brown has absolutely. He is that killer, and that's why I'm saying I would rather see them if I said, if you had to, again, obviously they can't trade Jason Tatum because Ben Simmons is on the Nets. But I would rather, if I was the Celtics, I would rather keep Jaylen Brown and trade Jason Tatum, especially if you're getting Kevin Durant, because they're a lot more comparable than Jaylen Brown and Kevin Durant, in my opinion. So Russ and KD going head to head in the finals is the better story with Broad AD and Russ bringing it home. I mean, that would be a great story. Imagine. I mean, it's never gonna happen, and Laker fans would hate it, but winning solves everything. Winning cures all. And could you imagine if we ended up getting stuck with Russ, AD, and LeBron figure it out. They get to the finals and they win the finals. Imagine how big of an FU that would be for Russ. That would be what are you gonna say at that point? I don't believe it would ever happen. I never say never, so I won't say it'd never happen. But I don't believe it's likely to happen. But could you imagine that? Could you imagine how, what do you say at, all the Laker fans that are Russ is this, that, and the other? What do you say? Especially if he's balling out. If he's just some guy and he's averaging 8 points a game in the finals and stuff. But if he figures it out, he's giving you, 15 to 20 a night in, night out. He makes it work. It's they have a legit big three. They end up in the finals. They win the finals. What do you say? Damn, and what do the Lakers do? Do the Lakers re-sign him? Do the Lakers re-sign him on a cheaper deal, or do you let him go? And it's I don't know. That would change so much. Jaylen is a modern day Pippen. It's not a terrible comparison, but I mean, hey, Pippen led his Bulls. You can't bring Jaylen back after this. He want to be traded now. Yeah. How do you bring him back after this? You kind of feel it's damn, man, you did me wrong. I was the guy that showed up. I was the guy that was there every playoffs. I was leading. I think he was number one in playoff or in fourth quarter playoff points. During this fight, the dude did I was guarding the best player. I was giving 25 a night. This dude over here didn't even show up, and I still was carrying the load. All of that. I mean, just I don't know how you do that. or more like Clyde Drexler with Pippen-like defense. I think that's probably a better. I know. I mean, the Pippen comparison isn't bad. I don't mind that at all. Boston doesn't want Jalen. I'd gladly take. Absolutely, sign us up. Brain it. I still think KD's going to the Suns. The problem is I don't know how you get there now. Because, I mean, if it ever did, they wouldn't be able to do it till January. And now you can't trade. Well, I mean, you can in January, but Ayton has veto power over any trade. So for the rest of the season, because he just signed he had his salary match. So even if they were able to work out a deal in January, if Ayton says, I don't want to be a net, I'd rather go to the Pacers, then there goes that trade. So I don't know. I just don't. I really thought KD was going to the Suns. I thought it made the most sense. He wanted to go there. I thought it would have been a perfect fit for him. But at this point, I don't see how they get there. Brooklyn is asking for a whole roster in return for KD. I know, absolutely, but I do think, like, even with that, like, what would be better than Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, and like 3 firsts? Like, you're not going to get like, even I don't even know if a team could put together a better deal than that. Like, that's about as good as it gets. Yeah, I think so too. They know if they let him go, he's going to win unless they severely cripple the team to get him. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but that's the thing. I mean, the Celtics could. I mean, theoretically, the Celtics, because they still have like a bunch of picks, right? So I mean, they could trade, and they still have some of the Nets picks. So they could give like the Nets their picks back, and you give the Nets their picks back, and maybe throw in another pick. Like, my point is, the Celtics could give up like 4 picks. Like, if they really had to, they could give up probably like 4 or 5 picks. Give you Jaylen Brown, give you Marcus Smart, maybe give you, who's the kid that they drafted? JD Davis. Maybe give somebody like that to them. Here's a young prospect, something like that. He was good in summer league. Here you go. And you get Kevin Durant. Maybe they do something like that. And I think it just comes down to how much do the Celtics believe that they are a Kevin Durant away from winning a championship? Because based on the reports that came out earlier today, they believe he's the missing link. If that's true, then do you kind of do whatever you have to go get him? Lakers would be my pick. Yeah, I'm with you. Would you trade Westbrook to the Knicks for Randall and Rose along with 2 first-round picks? If I'm assuming we're getting the 2 first-round picks. One, I don't think the Knicks would give up 2 firsts. The Knicks would almost have to give up 1 first in the deal, because I mean, you're taking back the Randall and Rose salary. Personally, I would not do it, because I just think Randall doesn't fit. Like, where's he going to start? Are you going to put AD at the 5? Like, the whole point of getting the other 2 centers was so AD could play the 4 again, get back to his more natural and preferred position. But yeah, I wouldn't do that at all. Even if you are getting the 2 first-round picks, unless you could take this and send this to the Nets for Kyrie Irving, then yes. And that's something I've talked about a lot on this channel, is that, like, the possibility, like, assuming Donovan, because all of this is predicated on Donovan Mitchell going to the Knicks. But if they get Donovan Mitchell and they need to clear cap, then the Knicks may be the leverage play to go get Kyrie Irving, because they're, like I said, they're going to have to give up at least 1 first, because the Lakers at that point are doing the Knicks a huge favor. You're basically clearing the Knicks books outside of Barrett, which they have to re-up on his contract. Donovan and Jalen Brunson. We're basically clearing your books for you, so you can build around your 3 guys you put together. So, like, you're doing a huge benefit. Now, I'm not saying the Knicks have to give up one of their picks or that. They got a whole treasure chest full of draft picks. So the Knicks likely find which one is the least favorable out of all the picks we have, and then they package that with very likely Fournier, Rose, and Randall. And then you go to the Lakers, or if you're the Lakers, you go to the Nets and you go, hey, we got our first-round pick. We got the Knicks first-round pick that we just got in the trade. We got Randall, Rose, and Fournier to replace Kyrie Irving. Which one of these do you want? Do you want all 3? Do you want 2 of them? what do you want? You want one of these guys and THT, we'll give you the 2 firsts. Everyone happy, everyone wins. I think that is very likely a leverage play. Bro, just can't sleep. I hope we can move Russ and Kyrie and LeBron with Anthony Davis is the best trio. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it would be. I mean, they would be the best on paper, at least the best team in the league. If they're healthy, who's beating that team in a 7-game series? You get a dominant MVP style Anthony Davis. You get LeBron being LeBron and Kyrie just being Kyrie. That's a tough team to beat. Like for any team in the league currently. But I appreciate you. I just realized the Nets are able to make a move for Miles Turner directly with the Pacers. They have a first round 29 attractive pieces like Claxton and Harris. Problem is that the Pacers don't want salary, so they wouldn't want Joe Harris. Like that's the whole like the deal for the Lakers is Buddy Hield and Miles Turner, and then they take back Russell Westbrook for the salary relief. Like that's the whole point. Like the Pacers want to move off of the $4 million over the next 2 years for Buddy Hield. Miles Turner, you don't know if he's going to re-sign or not, that kind of thing. I mean, they could. Yeah, theoretically they could. But the Pacers, they want those 2 first, and they don't want to take on contracts like Claxton and Joe Harris. But, you never know. Never know. Not completely ruling it out. You're not wrong. I am glad I subscribed to your channel. Well, thank you, Steven Rogers. I really appreciate it. I really do. And let's do an update. We need 40 more subscribers, 270 of you beautiful people. 40 more subscribers. We get 4,000 subscribers. That would be awesome. Help me get to 4K. That would be fantastic because a month and a half ago, I was at like 250 subscribers. So the fact that we're about to hit 4K is mind-blowing to me. So yes, please subscribe to the channel and also like this video so we can get some more people in the stream, all that stuff. Nets can have a team with Miles Turner, Kyrie, KD, Ben Simmons, and Seth Curry. I mean, that would be a fantastic team. I just don't know how the Nets get there based on what, because wouldn't the Nets have done that already? Wouldn't the Nets have been done that, if that's all it took? But the whole point is that the Pacers, they don't want salary. The whole point in trading, the only reason that they're willing to take on Russell Westbrook for a year is to clear off salary and have that cap space. They already have a ton of cap space. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's not like they're not desperate for it. That's why they want 2 first, because they're like, we have like $60 million in cap regardless. But it'd be nice to have an extra 20, 25 million, but it's not something that's necessary, So if Boston gets Kevin Durant, our Lakers need to get Kyrie ASAP, and our path gets harder if Boston gets KD. I am with you, Blake, 100%. I do think, though, let's say tomorrow Kevin Durant gets traded to the Boston Celtics, I think that Kyrie trade happens by like the end of the week, because we'd be at like Tuesday. I think that Kyrie trade gets done ASAP, just because they're not foolish, Let's see, Kyrie and KD, my favorite players. I want them both to stay on the same team. Kyrie don't need LeBron. KD don't need Steph. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They haven't had much success so far. It doesn't mean that they can't. I just think the Nets did. Look, if you wanted Kyrie, all they had to do was just give Kyrie an extension, and this all would have went away. Like, this never would have happened. I mean, unless the reports are true that Kevin Durant doesn't want Kyrie anymore. But the reason I don't believe that to be the case is because if that was true, all KD has to do is just go to Sean Marks and Sai and just be like, hey, if you trade Kyrie, I'll stay. I mean, that deal they would give him to the Lakers, if they had to, so that's my only problem. But like the Nets did this to themselves. Like, all they had to do was give Kyrie the extension and everything would have been fine. And they probably would be competing for a championship. I mean, Ben Simmons, KD, and Kyrie Irving, that's one of, if not the best teams in the league. I think the Lakers do whatever it takes to trade for Kyrie. Yeah, I think so too. I think push comes to shove, they'll do what they have to do. But yeah, Kyrie already said he's staying in Brooklyn. Kyrie never said he was staying in Brooklyn. The report stems, if you actually read the report and you actually like listen to what was said, Kyrie never said he wants to stay there. And the report from today is an old report that was just being rehashed. This is why I'm probably going to make a video about it after this at some point tonight, because I'm not saying that it's completely false, but this all stemmed from an anonymous source giving that didn't want to be named, that just it didn't line up. It didn't make sense. Like if you read the report from the New York Post that all of this started from, the whole Kyrie never asked for a trade and he wants to stay in Brooklyn. If you read that report, it doesn't take into account it doesn't even take into account that the Kyrie Irving thing started before the whole, like before he signed the extension and stuff. And it doesn't even take into account that like it asked the question, which is like, if he wanted to leave, he wouldn't have opted in. That's the stupidest argument. So Kyrie's just going to leave $30 million on the table? No, you idiot. Like whoever that is, like I'm telling you, read the report. The report is the most ridiculous thing you could read. And I'm not saying that Kyrie for sure does it, like he wants to be traded, all that stuff, even though there's more things proving that to be the case. And every credible person says that Kyrie wants to leave. The report that all this stuff stemmed from it makes no sense. Like it makes literally zero sense. But like I said, you never know. Where are we? Oh, sorry. Get these trades over with. I feel it. Believe me. I get it. Brogdon. Yeah. So, I mean, like speaking of Brogdon, like that's why I think it's good. That's why I think you could trade Marcus Smart, because you went and got Brogdon. And I'm not saying that they're completely comparable or that, one's better than the other, but Brogdon does a lot of the same stuff you wanted from Marcus Smart. So I think you could trade Marcus Smart and it'd be okay. Great show. Thank you so much, James. I really appreciate you. Thank you. The Nets are spreading conspiracies to try and push the Lakers into giving their demand. I mean, that's always possible, right? I mean, you always got to look at where the reports came from, what was said, how it was said, all of that stuff. Usually stuff gets out because teams want it to get out. I definitely think it's a leverage play one way or another. Brogdon and Kyrie all day. Yeah, Lakers all day. Yes. Hit that like button. Thank you. I love your channel, brother. Thank you all so very much. Seriously, it means a ton. I'm in a blessed position to be able to sit here, talk to all you guys about sports and stuff, hang out, have a good time, try to hit 4K subscribers. We are now 38 subscribers away. So if you're not subscribe. Let's try to hit 4K before the stream's over. Probably go about another hour. So if we get 38 more subscribers, that would be beautiful. I got 278 of you beautiful people. There's got to be at least 38 of you that aren't subscribed, and hit that like button. Please. I think that KD took the beef that belongs to Kyrie with the Celtics. I don't know if this is a good destination for him. I mean, I don't think he's going to care that much. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's always a possibility, but I don't think he cares. He just wants to hoop, and he wants to be in a place that, wants him, that, he doesn't feel did him dirty, even though the Nets basically gave him whatever he wanted, I love your channel. Well, thank you so much, Don. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Seriously, you are all so very kind. Hey, did the Celtics decline the trade? No, they did not decline the trade. The Nets declined the trade based on the report that the Celtics were offering Jaylen Brown, Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and a first-round pick. Those are usually the preliminary. You always say no to the first deal. Usually you come in with the preliminary, like, hey, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, first-round pick. Come on, KD. You kind of go with that. And then, the Nets come back with, we want Marcus Smart, and more firsts and stuff like that. And then it's like, okay, like tell you what, we'll give you Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart. You don't get Derek White, and we'll give you like 2 first-round picks. And then it's like, oh, okay, good. And all sides are happy and they win. So the Nets were the ones that declined the offer. But don't be surprised if it gets picked back up soon, or they figure it out, work it out one way or another. Yes, the Nets did. Yes. They asked for more. as they will anytime someone makes an offer for Kevin Durant. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I mean, you put in the initial offer. That always gets, you never say yes to the first offer, right? Yeah, you always say no. The Nets are asking for too much. Absolutely. They absolutely are. They're asking for too much for Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, but they're the ones that have the players, unfortunately. They have all the leverage in the world with Kevin Durant. They don't have a lot, if at all, with Kyrie Irving. And I know a lot of people feel like, they have tons of leverage, this, that, and the other. They literally cannot replace Kyrie Irving unless they trade him this season. If Kyrie Irving walks, it's not like they get $36 million in cap space. No, that's why they wanted to trade Joe Harris in any deal for Kyrie Irving, because they want that salary cap. They still have Ben Simmons on a max, Kevin Durant on a max, plus they have like several other players that are on multi-year deals. They're cap strapped if Kyrie will leave. So it's not like they can let Kyrie go and, whoever, James Harden opts out and he's like, well, Kyrie's gone. I want to come back to the Nets. And it's like, okay, cool. Like they can't sign him. They literally cannot sign him. So the Nets don't have leverage here. If Kyrie leaves next season, that is it. They are stuck with Ben Simmons and Kevin Durant and a bunch of role guys until Kevin Durant either decides to not play or they find a deal to trade him. So like that's the big problem that people are missing when it comes to the Nets thing. If KD goes to the Celtics, do you think Westbrook is bought out by the Nets for Kyrie trade, or do you think he plays the whole next season? So if Kevin Durant, this actually is a really good question, Speed, and I appreciate it. So if Kevin Durant does get traded to the Celtics, then it is very likely that they would take on Westbrook. They would have to probably play Westbrook because, and I know people are going to say, well, they have Ben Simmons and all that stuff. One, you don't even know if Ben Simmons is going to play. Two, they cannot tank. They have no draft. And unless they get the draft picks back from the Celtics, then yeah, maybe. But even then, it's you still probably have like a half decent team. So I think either two things happen. You think either A, they take on Westbrook for the year, clear out salary. Cool, perfect. Everything's good. Everything's right in the world, right? You'd have Westbrook, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart. So basically you could have, Jaylen Brown play the 3 or the 4 if you need to, whatever. And then you could have TJ Warren play the 3. You could have Marcus Smart play the 2 and Westbrook play the 1. And then Nick Claxton down low, whatever. Ben Simmons, if he plays, you figure it out. He plays the 4, Brown plays the 3, Smart plays the 2, Westbrook plays the 1, and then, Claxton or whatever. My point is you can make it work. I think that either A, they take on Westbrook and they say, okay, we'll take Westbrook for a year because we got to compete. We got to be competitive. We need to be as competitive as possible. I think they'll try to make it work and see how it goes. If not, you can always buy him out. It doesn't matter. Or you flip him to let's say you flip him to the Pacers, and now you got your first round. Let's say you got your first round picks back. Now you go to the Pacers and you say, hey, we'll give you wanted Westbrook. We'll take Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. You can take Westbrook. Here you go. Like it opens the door for more options for the Nets if Kevin Durant gets traded. The other option is that they just, they essentially don't want Westbrook, and Westbrook still goes to a third team, and maybe they do the Pacers deal, and then Miles Turner goes to the Nets, and then they got Jaylen Brown, Miles Turner, Marcus Smart with Ben Simmons for the next, 10 years or whatever. Like that's a solid team. It really opens up the possibilities for the Nets. And in all honesty, like that might be the best thing in the world for the Nets to do the Celtics deal because of everything I just said. Think about it. Let's say you get Marcus Smart, you get Jaylen Brown, right? You still have Ben Simmons. So you have Ben Simmons, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown. You get a couple draft picks back. You can either do the 3-team deal and trade Kyrie, or you could just trade straight up with the Pacers at that point because you'd have multiple first-round picks. Salary has to be a thing. So I don't know. They'd have to maybe figure out how that works, whatever. But my point is that you could end up the Nets could literally end up leveraging and turning Kyrie and KD into Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, and Miles Turner. I mean, that's pretty solid. I mean, you could have a starting five of what? You could have uh, Ben Simmons at the 4. You could have Miles Turner at the 5. You have Jaylen Brown at the 3, Marcus Smart at the 1, and then Seth Curry at the 2. Like, so Marcus Smart, Seth Curry, Jaylen Brown, Ben Simmons, and Miles Turner. That's a pretty good squad. I mean, it's not the best squad in the world, but it's good. They're young. They're everything. Um, there is no replacing Kevin Durant. Absolutely. Kevin Durant is so far in the history of the NBA has been a one of one. So, did they decline Nets offer? No. So the Nets declined the offer. It was Boston was the one that submitted the offer based on the reports. Boston said, "Hey, we want Kevin Durant. We'll give you Jaylen Brown." That's why Jaylen Brown is upset because it wasn't like the Nets came to them and they were like, "No way, we're not trading Jaylen Brown." No, the Celtics went to the Nets and were like, "Hey, this is what we want." That kind of thing. I truly believe the Lakers will land. I do too. I really do. And maybe I'm just being overly optimistic. I just really think that it's a matter of when, not if. But still, I mean, when is that going to happen? Um, uh, they walked Katie down, swept. WTF? You got to understand. Like I said, you got to. I've talked about this before when it comes to the KD situation with the Celtics. That is a completely like it's not like Kevin Durant just didn't show up. The Boston Celtics were like Kevin Durant is the heart and soul of this team. If we stop him and we make everyone else beat us, they're not going to beat us. Like go watch the games. Anytime Kevin Durant was in the position to get the ball or had the ball, they had two guys in his chest, like literally in his chest, just hounding him and either forcing the ball out of his hands or making him take a bad shot. There was I think it was even game 3 or 4 some of that where the announcer was like if the Nets could just make a wide open shot they would be in this game. Like if you go look back at the stats, like the Nets had like one of the records for most open shot. Like they literally said everybody guard Kevin Durant and let Kyrie Irving and everybody else beat you. And you know what happened? They weren't able to beat you. Like they did not want Kevin Durant to get his 30 points because if he did, that would have elevated everybody else. So they were like, let's stop him and we'll win the series. And they were right. No, the Lakers would have to give the Knicks 2 first-round picks. Yeah, no, that would never happen. The Knicks would have to give a first in the Kyrie trade. Or not in the Kyrie, sorry, in the Westbrook trade because the Knicks are the ones that are desperate at that point. They need to move off the salary because otherwise, they're stuck with Randall Fournier and Derrick Rose on bad contracts for the next 3 to 4 years. So no, at that point, the Knicks would be giving up first round. I thought you meant the Knicks were giving up 2 first-round picks. That's why I was like, the Knicks aren't going to give up 2. The Knicks will give up 1, but they're not going to give up 2. Don't you think if the Nets keep Kai and he don't show up to work, nobody will want him for the next even the Lakers. I believe the Lakers would still want him because the whole reason he would sit would be for. I mean, he said he'll go to the Lakers next year. But I think that basically rules out everybody but the Lakers. And I think that would mean the Lakers wouldn't have to pay Kyrie Irving max money, which is good. I think they'd still pay him pretty good, but I don't think they'd pay him max. I think I don't know what his max is off the top of my head, but let's say it's $36 million again. I think they'd be like, we'll give you, 28 to 30 million a year, sign you for 4 years, whatever, that kind of thing. That's most likely what I think would happen. But like, no, I mean, people don't want Kyrie for a reason already. Like, there's a reason nobody's trying to trade for him or anything. Kyrie wants to go to the Lakers. I think the Lakers would still want him. I mean, I think it rules out all other teams, but and Kyrie's the kind of guy that would sit all year. Like he would. He's the guy that'd be like, hey, I told you to trade me. You guys did me dirty. I'm not playing. Like, I don't know if he will fully, but it wouldn't shock me. Boston screwed up mentioning Jaylen in the trade. Now he's pissed. Exactly. That's why I think at this point you have to trade. You have to figure out and make that work. And now the problem is you lost a lot of leverage. Like if they would, I really think if the Boston Celtics went in there and said, hey, we'll give you Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, and 2 or 3 first-round picks. What do you – we want Kevin Durant. I think the Nets might have taken it. Like, because what better deal is that? What better deal is that they're out there than that? Like from the jump. Problem is if you're the Nets, you're like, hey, you gave us a deal. That deal was trash. We didn't like it. And now you have no choice but to trade Jaylen Brown. So now we want Marcus Smart. We want Jaylen Brown. We want Derek White. And we want, 4 firsts. And it's like, I just think it'll eventually get whittled away. And then eventually you'll meet in the middle. And it'll be, like I said, it'll be like Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, and like, here's the first back that we owe you. And then here's an extra first or two, something like that. Every four, oh no, Knicks will give Lakers a first. Lakers will be clearing 100 million by takeback. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Where do you think Westbrook ends up? If the Donovan Mitchell trade happens, well, here's the problem. Any team that trades for Westbrook is probably going to buy him out. So it depends on what you mean by that question. Like, where does he go after buyout? That makes things very tough. But if you mean like where does he end up being traded to, I think very likely it's the Pacers or the Knicks. I think those are the two best options because I think either one of those can likely leverage you into a Kyrie trade. And the whole thing is like the Lakers want Kyrie and somebody else. So that's what it is. What else we got? Following Kai is KD problem. Not playing. Not a leader yet. I am a Laker fan. Well, welcome, Bobby. Welcome. That is awesome. I am too. Could the Lakers get Buddy Hield, Miles Turner, and Eric Gordon? Theoretically, yes. Will they? No. Because, you could trade – because the problem is if you're going to get Buddy Hield and Miles Turner, you got to give up both first. So there goes all your first to go get Eric Gordon. Now, theoretically, you could trade Westbrook and say 1 first, if that could happen, right? So let's say the Lakers are able to work out a deal where they trade for Buddy Hield, Miles Turner, send back Westbrook, send back a first, and let's say 2 or 3 seconds, right? Okay, cool. You still have a first. Then you could go to the Rockets, give them a first, THT and Kendrick Nunn, and you'd be able to get Eric Gordon. But pretty confident, one, the Lakers want either Eric Gordon or Buddy Hield. But technically, yes, they could get all 3. What do you think the Jazz are going to do? I think they are going to be patient and let the Knicks basically buy themselves into Donovan Mitchell. But outside of that, I think they're going to hit a full rebuild. I think very likely they'll tank for Victor because that's the grand prize, right? I'm not even going to try to say his last name, but I'm sure if you know who he is, you know who he is. But I imagine they'll probably trade Donovan Mitchell. I think the most likely destination is the Knicks. Because I just think that they could put the best package together. And I think if somebody like Miami comes out of the woodworks and is like, oh, here we go, we'll give you all of this. I think the Knicks, one, I don't think they're just going to accept it. I could see them calling the Knicks and be like, hey, Miami's offering this. You want, otherwise we're taking it or you're not. What do you want to do? And I think the Knicks will be like, all right, fine, here, go ahead. Because it's the Knicks and they want Donovan Mitchell for whatever reason when they already got Jalen Brunson and they're the same player. They're both 6'1". They both don't play defense and they both have the exact same play style. But that's neither here nor there. So I think that the Jazz are going to make out like bandits. They're going to get probably 5 or 6 firsts in this deal. They got, 4 or 5 picks in theirs. They still have all their picks. I think they just completely tank and, start developing some of the young guys. And then at that point, all you need to do is hit on like 2 or 3 of those draft picks and you still have like 15 draft picks and you go and trade for that new disgruntled star, whoever, just throwing a name out there. That's it. Just throwing a name out there. Don't take this literal, but 3 years from now, Ja Morant is like, I'm sick of the Grizzlies. I want you to trade me. Utah's like, hey, we got 15 draft picks. We'll trade you. Like that kind of thing. That's what I think will end up happening. And it'll be like expedited. Eric Gordon trash. Yeah, I mean, he's a great shooter. But my only thing is that, like, if the Lakers are only looking for shooters, like if that's all they want, if the Lakers are just saying, because that's basically all you're getting in Buddy Hield and Eric Gordon is just shooters. Why would you go and trade a bunch of assets to get them when you could just re-sign Melo? Melo doesn't play any defense anyway, and he shot great for you last year. So, go get Melo and then give Cole Swider a shot. Cole Swider can't be worse defensively than Eric Gordon and Buddy Hield, and he's 6'9", and he just shot 53% in summer league. I'm not saying he's going to shoot 53% in the NBA, but all he has to do is shoot 37%, and he shoots the same percentage as Buddy Hield. And from 53 to 37 is a huge difference. So that's kind of my only thing. But yeah, Lakers got problems in their own building. I mean, every team's got problems in their own building for the most part, except for like the Warriors currently. Life sucks. My credit score is in 400s. Hello, Laker family. Well, that does suck, but welcome. We all appreciate you being here. These dudes believe anything. We are going to find out what's going on with Kyrie when LeBron is able to sign the extension or not. Here's the thing, and I've talked about this before. I personally don't think LeBron's going anywhere. I don't think LeBron was going to sign that extension regardless, because why would he sign an extension when he doesn't know how much longer he's going to play? If he really does want to go play with the Sun, or he wants to retire a Cavs or something like that, he's not going to sign a long-term extension. He's going to do 1+1s. Yeah, he could sign an extension and basically do a 1+1, with the second year player option. But realistically, LeBron, it was going to not sign an extension. He was going to do a 1+1 regardless. So I don't think that's a big deal. I also think that's why the Lakers are continuing to be patient, because if they really believe LeBron James was leaving and they really thought that extension talk was a threat, I think that they would have made a move, right? Or at least you would have heard some Lakers are making a hard push. All the reports are basically the Lakers are just kind of waiting around and just standing pat. Like if you were really worried about LeBron leaving, you would do something. I think they know exactly what I think, which is LeBron's not going anywhere. Where's he going to go? We had this whole conversation in yesterday's live stream. Where is he going? Like any team that can sign him, he's not going to want to go to. Like, is he going to go to the Pacers? Is he going to go to Detroit? Is he going to go play with the Spurs? No. Any team that he would want to go to, they're not going to have the money to sign him. So they have to trade for him. And what team is going to gut their roster to trade for a 39-year-old LeBron James that you have for a year or two? Like, where is he going to go? And I think the Lakers know that. And LeBron didn't go to the Lakers for basketball reasons. When he was a free agent 4 years ago, there were a lot of teams that would still be really good. And he probably would have won a championship with those teams regardless, that were much better off than the Lakers were at that time. He went so he could become a billionaire and for life after basketball. The Lakers don't have to worry about LeBron leaving unless they do something just completely stupid, right? If they go and they trade Westbrook out of desperation and take back, they do a deal like the Knicks one where they take Randall and Fournier and Rose and trade Westbrook, and now they're locked into these bad contracts for the next 4 years. I could see LeBron being like, I'll figure it out. But LeBron's not going to sign a taxpayer mid-level, and he's not going to sign a veteran minimum deal. So where is he going to go? What team is going to trade young assets for a LeBron James that you have for a year, maybe two? Even if LeBron is the LeBron from last year, there's not many options that he has. So the reports are so confusing and twisted. I don't know who to believe. That's the problem. Right now it's all just talk. It's all just speculation. It's all just, whose guess is the better guess. You got, like I said, when it comes to reports, you got to look at where are they coming from and what is actually in the report. The problem is a lot of people don't actually read the reports. They just read the headlines and they just think oh, Kyrie wants to stay in Brooklyn. If you actually read the report, one, it's an old report. Two, if you see where it stemmed from, it was total nonsense, stuff like that. So do you think the Clippers' big three are the best in the league at this point? I'm assuming you're putting John Wall into that big three. I wouldn't really do that just because, one, John Wall isn't the same John Wall. Two, we don't even, John Wall hasn't played in 2 years. So what John Wall are they going to get? But I do think the Clippers are the best team on paper in the Western Conference. Like they might be the best team on paper in the league as far as depth, things like that. The problem is, can they stay healthy? Which Kawhi Leonard and Paul George have not been able to at this up to this point. And how will it all mesh and how will it all work? Will John Wall just be able to be just a facilitator? Does he still think he's that guy that can put up 30 a game and be a superstar and this, that, and the other? Like all of that stuff is gonna be interesting to see. But if I'm being honest, and I'm not, and I remove my biases as a Laker fan, the Clippers, I think, are the best team in the Eastern Conference, or in the Western Conference. Sorry. Which trade scenario works best for the Lakers? Knicks for Randall Fourier-Rose, Utah for Conley Brogdon Beasley, or Indy? Personally, I think the best deal is the Indy deal for Hield and Turner. The Knicks deal, if they could leverage those pieces to go get Kyrie Irving, you do the Knicks deal immediately. So if they could do that to go get Kyrie, then in my opinion, the Knicks deal would be the best. Or if they could turn Turner into Kyrie, then that deal would be the best. The Utah deal is nice on paper, but it's not a deal the Lakers want. You don't want Conley's bad contract. Like, because I don't know exactly what it is. So here, let's look up exactly what he's owed. I know it's something ridiculous. So he signed, currently on a 3-year, $68 million contract. So the Lakers would be taking on a 3-year, $68 million contract for a guy that is not the old Mike Conley. I mean, he's still solid. Don't get me wrong. Mike Conley would be an excellent back. Like if they could do the Utah deal and get Kyrie Irving, I would love that because Conley could play the one or the two in certain spots, but Conley could be the backup point guard. Like if you could do that deal, not saying it can happen or will happen, but I'm just saying theoretically, like if you had Kyrie and you could go get Conley, Brogdon, and Beasley for Russell Westbrook, I would do that in a heartbeat. Just because I think Conley is great. He'd be a great backup. He could be a guy that when Kyrie isn't playing, he could step in because Kyrie's probably going to miss 20 games a year, things like that. Brogdon, not Brogdon, Bogdanovich. He great wing player, 3-and-D guy. Beasley, another scorer, could be a firework off the bench. I love that deal, but not if Conley is your starting point guard. I would rather have Hield and Turner personally, just because I think Conley's contract is bad. You don't want to be locked into that money. Hield's contract isn't really much better, but at least you kind of know what you're getting with Hield, and you're getting Miles Turner. I just think that the Hield Turner deal makes the Lakers better than all these other deals. But don't get me wrong, Brogdon and Beasley is really enticing. But yeah, so in order, I would say Indy, Utah, and the Knicks deal. But if the Knicks deal can get you Kyrie, then I'd probably put the Knicks deal and the Indy deal. Why are you wearing a green headset? I'm not wearing a green headset. It's the green screen in the background. The headset's black. See, also if I do this, or this, see, you can see the green. It's just a green screen. I am a Laker fan through and through. Lakers ain't no threat. Clippers, Bucks. Clippers, Celtics, Bucks, Warriors are a problem. Currently, Lakers aren't a threat. I mean, if the Lakers get Kyrie Irving, they're definitely a threat. But currently, yes, all these teams are better than the Lakers. Are you here until KD gets traded? No, I probably go about another hour. But yes, I definitely think it'll happen soon. Best sports streamer on YouTube currently. Seriously, Rich, thank you. I'm very humbled by that. Thank you. All of you have been so kind to me in this stream. Seriously, I really do. I appreciate all of you, and I'm excited. I'm glad that I'm in this position. Working hard, trying to get do an update. We need 30 more subs. We have almost 300 of you in this live stream. I need 30 more subs to hit 4K. That would be fantastic. So if you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, help me out, help me get to 4K. We were right there. 30 more subs. I need it. 30 more subs. Let's do it. But besides that, all of you are fantastic. I am in a blessed position to be able to sit here, talk with all you sports, whether you agree with me, whether you disagree with me, whether you think I'm an idiot or not, doesn't matter. I love all of you spending this time with me. Seriously. hopefully Bronny James lives up to the hype when he arrives in the NBA. See, I have I have so many like I have faith in Bronny James. I think he's going to be a solid player. I just think he's going to have, just because he's LeBron James' son, I think he's going to be put under a microscope, and he's going to be. I don't think he's going to ever be able to live. But who knows? You never know. But usually the son or the father is the superstar. Very rarely. What Ken Griffey Jr., probably the best like father son in sports. Like usually the son is nowhere near as good as the superstar dad. But you never know. When does your hair products and hoodie channel come back? Don't worry, the hair will grow out soon. It's just hot in Nevada. I needed to cut it. I know some people loved the hair, but it's just hot. It's hot in Vegas. And then the hoodies, when it's not hot in Vegas, we'll wear some hoodies. We'll be back soon. I can't believe the Suns didn't go for KD. I think that they didn't really have a choice, because the Nets asking price was ridiculous for one. Two, like they couldn't trade Ayton until they figured out what to do with that. And then the Pacers basically were tired of waiting, so they forced the Suns' hand. I really thought the Suns were going to get KD for a while, and unfortunately it didn't happen. But evening, so no trades yet. Nothing yet, Jedi. Nothing yet. But fingers crossed. Who knows? You never know. Anything could happen any minute, So maybe we'll get some breaking news on the stream. Just for fun, how would you feel if LeBron joined the Celtics? I feel Laker fans would burn his jersey again. Yikes. But yeah, probably. To be honest, though, I don't know how good of a fit LeBron would be on the Celtics, because you got Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Like, which one of those becomes the number 3? Does LeBron just play point guard and become Magic? Like, I don't know. That might be a tough fit. It would be interesting to see, though. I definitely think if it works, they're the best team in the league. But it would be. I think it might be a tough fit. Man, if Kyrie and KD ends up staying, do you think that will be a huge L for this insiders and channels? A huge loss of time, at least. No, I mean, at least speaking for myself. I mean, I can't really speak for other insiders or other channels and stuff. For me, I do YouTube because I like the conversations. I love talking sports. I love, having these interactions. Why I love these live streams. I mean, sports is life, especially the NBA. Can't wait for football season next month. We'll start diving into some NFL. I hope a lot of you are NFL fans also. Still talk NBA, don't worry, because NBA is like my bread and butter. Like that's what I'm most knowledgeable about when it comes to sports. But football, I'm right there. Love betting football, all that stuff. So we'll definitely get into some football stuff. But like I started this channel to just be able to talk sports, have fun, entertainment. At the end of the day, that's what this is entertainment, right? Like as a YouTuber, I'm just some guy on the internet. I'm not an insider. I'm not anybody important. All I do is just take the reports in the news, tell you what it is, and then give my thoughts and opinions on it. And that's why I always open it to everybody and just say, let me know how you feel. And sometimes people agree with me. Sometimes people don't. That's the beauty. It's talking sports. It's the debate. It's the conversation, like for me. So I don't think this was a huge loss of time, because one, it gave me content to discuss that was entertaining enough for people to want to click it and see it. And as much as people and I understand it's not for everybody, but like the Kyrie update videos that I do, pretty much daily, like those videos are still the best videos on my channel. Like every time I post one of those videos, like I could make 5 of those videos a day because there's that much information out there on it. I could literally make 5 videos a day on that stuff, and all of them would do the exact same. Like they're the most viewed because people are at least interested and engaged and entertained. And from an insider perspective, from a news network perspective, from a channel perspective, from a writer perspective, at the end of the day, like our goal is to provide content that keeps you entertained and that you enjoy. And so no, I don't think it'd be a huge waste of time. I think for some insiders, like the ones that were like, it's happening, it's this, that, and the other. I do think, you can make an argument that it was an L, but no, I think at the end of the day, it's all just speculation. Like nobody knows for sure. Nobody knows what Kyrie has really said unless he's your best friend. Nobody knows. We're all just guessing. Like even this channel, I'm just presenting the information and giving my best educated guess based on that information. I'm going to be wrong at times. I'm going to be right at times. There was stuff I was right about. and people were like, giving me the flowers, but there was stuff I was completely wrong about, like, right, the 17th thing, right? Everyone was coming at me. I thought you said, like, yeah, I was wrong. This was what was put out there. I gave the information. I was like, hey, it makes sense. It adds up. It was wrong. You take the good with the bad is how I'll leave it at. They can't trade Aiden. Yes. Well, they can't trade him until January, but yes. And he would have veto power for everything. Jaylen Brown is pissed. And I don't blame him. Like, if you were Jaylen Brown, wouldn't you be pissed? I mean, dude, I gave you everything. I was the only guy that showed up to the finals. And now you want to trade me? Like, I don't blame him at all whatsoever. So I'm with it. Judging on what the Jazz got for Rudy Gobert, I would expect a huge return for KD, but I don't know who has it to offer. The problem is there's not a lot of teams that can give an offer like Rudy got. And that's something. I definitely think the Rudy trade just ruined everything. But in reality, there's not many teams that could give those returns. And excuse me, the other thing too, the Nets aren't in the position the Jazz are. The Jazz are hitting the reset button. They're starting from scratch. The Nets, they can't do that. So they don't necessarily need or want a bunch of draft picks. Like, the Knicks could come to them and be like, hey, we'll give you 8 first-round picks and RJ Barrett and whoever else you want. But they need to be competitive now because they don't own any of their picks. That's why they want a star or like a young up-and-coming star for Kevin Durant, because they're not in a position to hit the reset button. If they owned all of their own picks, I think Kevin Durant would have been traded already, because they could have just hit the reset button. Let's trade Kyrie, get back what we can, trade Kevin Durant, get back what we can. Now we have 40 first-round picks over the next, 5 years. Let's go rebuild. Like, that's what they could do, but they're not in that position. Brooklyn is going to keep asking your franchise on a platter for KD. Good possibility he's still in it. I think more likely than not, he's going to be in it. Personally, I do. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. And they don't need to trade him. So yeah, I do. You just earned a new subscriber. Love your channel. Thank you so much, Jay. I really appreciate it. Seriously, it means a ton. Yeah, let's do an update. What are we at? 17 more subscribers. We have 260 of you in this stream. I need 17 more subscribers, and then we will be at 4K. Help me hit 4K before the stream is over. Go about another 20 minutes or so. So I just need 17 more. All you beautiful people, 17 more subscribers. Make it happen. I love it. I love it. And again, thank you so much, Jay. Who do you trust more taking the last shot in the fourth quarter, Paul Pierce or Allen Iverson? Ooh, that is a good question. Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce has done it more. He's got the size. Yeah, I would say Paul Pierce, but that is tough. That's tough. I really like AI. If AI was like 6'6" to 6'8", Allen Iverson. Katie going to Boston. It's a real possibility. I look. Boston has a deal that could meet the requirements for the Nets. It's definitely a possibility, but the Nets want what the Pelicans got for 80. Yeah, kind of. I mean, they want a little more established players, but yeah, because Ingram kind of became Ingram when he was there. It wasn't really like that for the Lakers, but yeah, something along those lines. Jaylen Brown, Grant Williams, and Robert Williams. The thing is, they really want Marcus Smart. I think I could see Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, and Grant Williams. I think that they would want to keep Robert Williams, because if you get KD, you still need that center. If you trade Robert Williams, now you got Horford as your center. I could see Grant Williams, Jaylen Brown, and Marcus Smart going in the deal, ideally. But do you feel like the Celtics Big Three could have won more championships? I mean, I think that they should have. But no, I mean, I think they won what they would have won regardless. I mean, they were always in the contention. They were always like that good team. But like, by the time the Celtics got Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett, they were like, if they were all like 27, I think that they would have won probably several championships. But I think it was one of those things where it was like it was the Lakers with Gary Payton and Karl Malone type thing. I mean, obviously their big three wasn't as old as Gary Payton and Karl Malone, but it was the same logic. We're getting towards the end of our careers. We got maybe a handful of seasons left. Let's come together and try to win a championship or two. And they succeeded. Um, Crazy how at the time a lot of fans of other teams called the offer garbage, but now they switched up, saying the Pelicans fleeced. I mean, that's usually how it goes. People people have their initial reaction. People are in their feelings, whatever. And I just think it's always like if it wasn't the Lakers and they didn't win a championship and it was like Memphis or something, no one would have cared. The Lakers won that trade. The Lakers made that deal and immediately won a championship. They win the trade. Like, it doesn't matter what anyone else says. Have the Pelicans won anything? No. What player on that team that we traded is leading their team to a championship right now? None of them. Half of them weren't even in the playoffs, or they weren't the star leading their team to the playoffs, so stuff like that. Add 3 first-round picks. Yes. Kyrie to LA. I'm with it. We need it. Julius Randle has the worst contract in the NBA. I wouldn't say the worst. I mean, last year, yes, if he plays like last year. But if he could get back to the Julius Randle from 2 years ago, that might be one of the best contracts in the NBA. You're talking about a nearly triple-double, night in and night out, 40% three-point shooter. Like, that Julius Randle is a guy that contract was paid for. The Julius Randle from last year, that is a terrible contract. Even if Julius Randle could find like a happy medium, because I mean, even last year, he still averaged nearly a triple-double. He was like, I think a rebound, or no, he had, like 0.5 away from 10 rebounds a game, and was like 3 or 4 assists away from triple-double, something like that. But point is, if he could be a 35 to 37% three-point shooter, not saying he has to be 40% like he was, but if he could be a consistent three-point shooter and be that 26 and 6, 26 and 8 guy, that's a good. He's not on a terrible contract. The problem was he just played so poorly last year that it kind of ruined the outlook. Kyrie needs LeBron. I think so too at this point. 3 top 75 players, and they finish under 500. Garbage. I mean, there was a lot to go into it. You got to understand. We've seen it a lot in the NBA. You can't just put all the best players on one team and win. More times than not, it actually doesn't work. Kyrie cancer. Knicks fans are delusional to think Lakers would have to give picks. Westbrook is on an expiring contract. Randall signs until 2026. No, I don't think it was. It was just kind of a proposition. But yeah, it wouldn't happen. The Knicks would give the draft pick. Boston front office don't care about the players. Yes, very true, very true. Much respect to you, brother. I love the channel. Well, thank you so much, Brian. I really do. I really appreciate it. All of you hanging out with me, having a good time. I absolutely love it. I love it. Where did we go? No, we lost our place. Sorry, bear with me 1 second. There we go. All right. What time is it? I do have to keep track of time. Kyrie wants his money. Yeah, which I don't blame him. I want it. Get paid. The more talented players follow him for life. Of me, I'll never understand that. The more talented player follows him for the life of me. I'm assuming there's something else then. Always looking out for your lives, man. You should have gotten at least 50K subs by now. Keep going, bro. All the love from the PH. Well, thank you. Seriously, Colin. I really do appreciate that. Very humble. Hey, I am in no position to complain. I am 8 subscribers. There are 234 of you. I need 8 subscribers. We're at 4K. But I'm in no position to complain. Believe me, I can't wait till the day I hit 50K subs. But a month and a half ago to 2 months ago, I was at 250 subs and went from 250 to being anyway from 4,000. So I am like literally this month, I have hit like 3,800 subscribers. So I am very thankful, very humbled, very blessed. And it's all because of all you beautiful people. So thank you so very much. The Boston picks have low value, late 20s. I mean, but that's the problem. Any picks that you get from pretty much any team that takes on Kevin Durant are going to be late 20 picks, you know? Is it official or just a rumor? It's not official. It was a report from earlier today. The Boston Celtics submitted an offer. The Nets turned it down, but expect to hear more about that. I don't think that's going anywhere. Come on, Lakers, get Kyrie. I'm with you, Ray. I'm with you. Shalom, Lakers Nation. Appreciate it. Welcome. I appreciate you. Bro, you got some good knowledge of the game. I love this channel. Thanks. Well, thank you. I really do. I really thank you. And you know, I don't know everything, but I definitely I'm a student of the game for sure. I love the sport. I love the game. Love all that stuff. And you know, we'll start diving into some football next month. I hope a lot of you are football fans too, so we can kind of dive into some football. I've made a couple football videos. I'm sure most of you are NBA fans, but I'm sure some of you like football. We'll always be talking about basketball, believe me, because basketball is my thing. And it's like I said earlier, it's the thing I'm most knowledgeable about. But I love me some football too. So I would keep Russ over the Knicks trade, no question. Me too. I like unless you can use those pieces to go get Kyrie, then yeah, I would stay as far away from the Knicks trade as possible. What else we got? I'm glad the Lakers have many options to move Russ. That will be by far our best move over the summer. Yeah, I'm with you. Elders. I think that I'm curious to see what destination he goes to. You know, like I said, I think the Indy trade, obviously Kyrie makes a lot of sense. I think the Indy trade, the Utah trade, Knicks trade, I would stay away from unless, like I said, if the Lakers can leverage, because in the Rush trade to the Knicks are probably giving us a first. So if that's the case, and you can leverage that first and those pieces to go get Kyrie, then I love the Knicks trade. Do that Knicks trade immediately. But in the same breath, and this is something else that like I want people, because I see people all the time talk about, and you know, it's not everybody. Most people understand and have a perspective, but I see a lot of comments from people where they talk about like trade Russ for a bag of chips, trade Russ for whatever. The thing is we don't want another Luol Deng, Timothy Mozgov situation. You don't want to trade Russ for a bunch of bad contracts just to move off of him. At that point, you're better off just sending him home and not even having him play, because at least you'll have the salary relief. The problem is that they need to do a deal that doesn't ruin them for the next several years. Because say you do the Knicks deal, right? You trade for the Knicks, trade Julius Randle, Evan Fournier, Derrick Rose. You're locked into those players for the next 3 to 5 years, or 3 to 4 years. And what if LeBron's like, this is terrible, I don't like this team, I'm leaving? Now, any chance of you being a contender is out the window. Now you're probably not even a playoff team. You're probably trading Anthony Davis for whatever you can. It could be a total disaster. I want them to trade Russ too. I have been a huge defendant of Russ. I still think Russ can be that guy, just not on the Lakers. I just don't think he fits the Lakers. But I don't want to see the Lakers trade Russ just to trade Russ. It's got to actually be for a deal that makes sense for us too. Otherwise, try to make it work. If you can't, you know, give it like a 20-game sample size, something like that. Try to make it work. If it doesn't work, send them home, and then just let yourself have $80 to $100 million of cap space next season when everybody falls off. I like Swider. Yeah, Swider is nice. No, I agree. Swider is not ready for. I mean, to be fair, Lakers have found a bunch of undrafted second-round picks that nobody thought would be ready for the NBA, and guess what? They were. The reason I mentioned Swider earlier is that when it comes to Swider, like if all the Lakers are looking for is a three-point shooter, and that is it, like instead of giving up assets, like I said, go re-sign Melo, give Swider a chance, you know, because even Buddy Hield, like even if you get Buddy Hield, one shooter isn't going to change the fate of your team. It's just not one way or another. So my thing is like if your options are to trade 50 50 picks and players and all this stuff and take bad salaries and all this stuff, or to give a chance to Swider, I would do that. Like the Buddy Hield deal is probably not going anywhere. You probably have that still on the table regardless. So just my thoughts, just my 2 cents. Uh, what else we got? LeBron is not going anywhere until his son is in the draft. Exactly. I am with you 100%. Because like I said, like I was talking about earlier, where is he going to go? Like seriously, where is he going to go? Any team that can sign him doesn't have the money, and any team that like would be able, that would be a contender that he would want to go do, what assets do they have to trade for him? Like that's the thing. Like I don't think LeBron's going anywhere until yes, his son is drafted, or he decides I'm ready to retire, and he goes and signs a 1-year deal with the Cavs. But real quick, we got a $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Brian Miller. Seriously, I really, really, really appreciate it. $10 super chat coming in hot. I grew up with the 80s Lakers, Sixers, Celtics, all being very relevant at the same time. Caught the last year of Julius Irving. That is awesome. Saw the Bullets, Sixers game with him. Good times. Great show. New viewer. Well, thank you. Seriously, Brian Miller. I really appreciate that. Seriously. Very blessed. Very thankful for the $10 super chat. And awesome guy that one, thank you for checking out the channel. Two, being a part of the channel. Two, somebody with some experience, some age. You know, I mean, what a beautiful time for basketball, right? Look, I was born in 91, so I didn't get to experience that. I've watched all the tapes, watched all the highlights. Like I said, fan of the sport, student of the sport. But to be able to live through that and to see the revival of the 80s, it would have been a blessing. But yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I really do. Thank you so much, Brian. I really do appreciate the super chats. And anytime you give super chats, I'm very thankful, very humbled. Let's do a quick little update. We are 2 subscribers away from 4,000. We have 244 of you beautiful people in the stream. I know there's at least 2 of you that aren't subscribed. Help me hit 4K on this channel. That would be fantastic. Because like I said, I went from 250 subs a month and a half, 2 months ago, to if I could hit 4K in essentially a month, mind blowing. But thank you. And again, Brian, thank you. Seriously, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. And what else we got? I see Pacers or Knicks getting Westbrook, preferably Knicks if they give us a first. Lakers can make multiple trades. Yeah, Lakers definitely have options. The options are still going to be on the table for sure. I don't see that going anywhere. But I think the Pacers deal is the most likely, and then I think Knicks. I could see the Lakers using the Knicks to leverage to go get the trade for Kyrie Irving. But again, it's all speculation. We don't know for sure. That's facts. He's telling the truth. Oh, well, I'm assuming you're talking to me. If so, thank you. I appreciate it. What else we got? Sorry, just trying to find a question to me. What else we got? Okay, here we go. If you get Kyrie, I think you have to go get Dennis and Melo. Depending on what you give up. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Kendrick Nunn. I mean, Kendrick Nunn could be our Kyrie light. Like last time he played, he was a 20-point per game starting point guard on a finals team and shot 38% from 3. Like he could, I'm not saying he's as good as Kyrie, but he could provide us a lot of the stuff that Kyrie could want. And if we end up trading, depending on what we end up trading to go get Kyrie and all this stuff, depending on things shape up, Dennis, I don't think is a bad option. It just depends on which Dennis you get. Like if we get the Dennis Schroeder that came in and is like, I'm the star, I'm this guy, you're gonna pay me, I'm the starting point guard of this. You get that egotistical, Dennis, push it, kick it, kick, push, keep it going. But if we could get a Dennis Schroeder that comes in, he's humble, he's like, hey, I learned my lesson. I got too big headed. whatever role you want me on. I don't want to go to 10 teams in 10 years. I don't want to be a journeyman. I want to find a home. Please allow me to be here. I'll start. I'll come off the bench, whatever. If he's a guy that will come in and accept his role, I would be all for Dennis Schroeder. Because that was the idea when we first got him. But if he's a guy that comes in and he thinks he's Mr., big grajones, I'm not for it. Lakers actually would take Randall's contract, flip it to Brooklyn. That's what I'm thinking. I think that if you could leverage the Knicks deal into Kyrie, I think you do it. I love that deal. I think all of this Kyrie trade talk will end with a weird plot twist. Hey, I mean, it wouldn't be a surprise, right? It is the real world. It is the NBA. It is how life works. I definitely see you being spot on. Bro, we getting this done? I hope so. Lakers ultimately better get it done. I think when push comes to shove, I think what all said. The other thing too is the Lakers are doing the right thing. They're being patient, and that's the key. Like the Lakers are being patient, and that is good. That's what we want. That's what we need to see. We have we have a good footing in. We know what is out there. We know what is going on. We still have a month and a half or whatever, a month and some change before we're even into training camp. Like Lakers just need to be patient, stand pat, all of that stuff. Subscribing right now. I got you. Thank you so much. Let's do an update. And we are 4,007 subscribers. Thank you all so very much. I'm seeing comments even coming in right now. Subscribe from Oakland, California, all that. So thank you. Thank you all. Speaking to exist. Thank you. Everybody that has subscribed during this live stream. Seriously, thank you. Blessed. Very, very blessed. 4,000. We got 4,000 subscribers. What more could I ask for? We'll go about another 10 minutes, and then I do have to skate out of here. But we'll continue to go in order. Not going to be able to get to everyone. I mean, I see we got a ton of comments. If for whatever reason you have a question or a comment or something that dire urgence that you want me to answer or whatever, super chat is the way, as you saw earlier. Because I get special notifications for that. But if not, otherwise, we'll go in order, and I appreciate you. I am very blessed, very humbled. Again, thank you all. 4,000. Wow. And I got that in like a month. Like, that is just, I'm sorry. Just wanted to take a minute to let that sit. I'm proud. I'm thankful. But anyway, what do you think the Lakers record would be if they get Hield and Turner for only Westbrook and 2 first? It's got to be at least a 50-win team. I think it just depends on how healthy is LeBron and how healthy is LeBron and how healthy is Anthony Davis. Sorry, I don't know why I blanked on that. Yeah, depending on how healthy those two are, I think you're talking a team that wins 50 to maybe even 60 games. But I don't think the Lakers, regardless, really care about their record. Like, obviously, they don't want to be a play-in team, but I could see the Lakers just, like, if they have that team, even if they are, like, really good, let's say they're the best team in the league. I don't think they're a team, given LeBron, AD's age, health, stuff like that. I don't think they're a team that's like, let's go get 65 wins. Like, no, I think they're a team like, as long as we're in the top 4, 5 seed, we're fine. Whoever we play, we got to play regardless. We'll get through them and just make it happen. That's kind of how I look at it. But, any guess. My first time here. Let's go Lakers. Absolutely. Thank you so much, John. I appreciate you being here. I really do. Thank you all so very much. Love talking basketball. Love talking Lakers. And also, while we're here, to do a quick shameless plug outside of this channel, in the description of this channel, I did start As It Stands Lakers, which is a dedicated Laker channel, because here on As It Stands, of course, talk the Lakers. Lakers are my favorite team. We definitely will talk Lakers stuff. But if you've seen this channel, we talk about a little bit of everything and all sports. Can't wait to talk football, like I said earlier. But if you want just like dedicated like Laker videos every day, I also do live streams over on that channel. I actually just submitted for monetization on that channel, so I don't want to do anything to actually mess it up. So I'm just kind of posting videos. As soon as that gets monetized, I'll get back to live streaming over there as well. Link in the description of this video, as well as if you just go to my homepage of Facebook as it stands. You'll see the little icon. Go subscribe over there too. We just recently hit 1,000 subs over there. Very blessed, very thankful again. It's awesome. It is. It's awesome. Pacers don't want to do business with us. It looks like they always want a king's ransom. I mean, I don't think it's that they don't want to do the way. Okay, so look at it like this. Let's say it's any team that takes Westbrook wants a first, right? I don't think the Pacers asking for the 2 firsts for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner is a bad deal at all, because any team that takes on Westbrook, they're going to want a first regardless. So if you look at it that way, basically the Pacers are taking a first to take on Westbrook's salary, and then you're trading a first for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. It's a pretty good deal. I mean, if you really think about it, because look at it like this. Again, remove like all of the other stuff because it would be one trade. Any trade the Lakers do and move Westbrook, they're going to have to give up a first. So if you remove that first for Westbrook and you just say, okay, what is the deal? We're willing to take a first-round pick for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. Wouldn't you do that all day? Absolutely you would. But it's just we're looking at it as like you want 2 firsts, but any team is going to want a first for Westbrook is my point. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. Again, thank you all so very much for subbing to the channel. Like I said, we hit 4,010 subscribers now. Very blessed. I don't think Lakers want to jump on the Pacers deal. They want to wait for Kyrie. Yeah, I don't think anything happens until the Kyrie deal is either dead or it happens. Or they can leverage, like I said, they could leverage a way to make it work. Like if they could leverage like we can trade, like the Knicks deal. We could trade for this, or the Pacers deal. Like, they want Miles Turner, so let's go make this deal, get Miles Turner, and then we could ship that. That's the way that I think that happens. But James Allen coming in hot with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much, James Allen. I really appreciate the super chat. Thank you. Pelinka will pull the trigger ASAP. KD is getting traded, period, and it's to the Celtics. Book it. I actually think that that's a real likelihood now. Like I said, I just think at this point you have to trade. If you're the Celtics, you almost are forced to trade to get Kevin Durant at this point because you just ruined any relationship you had with Jaylen Brown. So at this point, it's like, what else are you going to, like, what other options do you have? You're going to bring Jaylen Brown back and he's either just going to leave you or he's just going to demand a trade. So if that happens, I do think Kevin Durant is going to be the first domino. If Kevin Durant ends up getting traded to the Celtics, I think the Kyrie trade happens within, it could be within hours. Very likely it'll probably be within days because they'll probably want to do that trade and then go do that trade. Or they just package it all into one deal, maybe, possibly. But ultimately, yes, I think that the deal gets done rather quickly if Kevin Durant gets traded to the Celtics. I think he gets traded to the Celtics where, it's coming, But yeah, again, thank you, James. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. And everybody that's given super chats, I really do appreciate it. And this is the way, like if you want to jump the order, because like I said, I go in order. This is the way to jump the order. Super chat, any amount. I will answer those immediately. Lakers Nation is large and content hungry. I believe it. I'm with it. I am part of Lakers Nation and I am content hungry. So I completely get that comment. Turner and Hield are not worth 2 firsts, 1 first and 1 second. I agree. Independently, they aren't. But like I said, if you look at it like this, again, Westbrook, any deal is likely going to take a first to move Westbrook, right? If you remove that and you boil it down to not trading Westbrook, then you essentially have 1 first for Hield and Turner because you're also moving off of Westbrook in the deal. But I don't think the Lakers, I think if worst case scenario, like they can't get Kyrie and they could move and pivot to Turner and Hield, I actually think that they'll find like a happy compromise. I could be wrong, but I do. I think what will end up happening likely is we'll see something where it's like Hield and Turner for like a first, a pick swap, and maybe like 2 seconds or something like that, where it's like, we're going to keep one of our firsts. I could see that. if the same trade is there for Kyrie, then you have to get he's a better player. Yeah, I'm with you. I agree. Um, KD rare won't require as many picks because the players coming back in return are better. Yeah, exactly, exactly. And like I was mentioning earlier, I don't know, Elder, if you were in the stream or when you came into the stream, but earlier I was even talking about how like the Nets are in a very unique position. They're not a team like Utah where they can just press the reset button and like let's just rebuild. Like the Nets have to remain competitive. And the other thing you have to keep in mind when it comes to the Kyrie trade, this is something that's important. They can't just lose. I mean, they can, but they can't just lose Kyrie for nothing because they won't have the money to replace him. So I think if you get KD, any trade for KD, you're getting back better players. So you're not going to give up as many draft picks, right? Two, if you're the Nets, that is the better option, right? The better option is to go get the players because you need to compete now. Now, if they had all their own draft picks and they had draft picks for the next several years, then yeah, trade KD. Like, who can give me the best package of picks? This team. Okay, here you go. You give me 8 first-round draft picks and whoever you want. Well, here's Kevin Durant. Like, in that case. But no, like the Nets, they're in a very specific situation. So therefore, they have to do a deal where they get back some quality players. Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, and throw in JD Davis, Davison or whatever, and there you go. Like, and then a couple first. I think that gets the deal done. I do. But you always say no to the first offer. The first offer was Derek White, Jaylen Brown, and a first. That was the offer they were going to say no to. I could see a happy compromise at some point. That is very true. That is very true. The thing is, the Lonzo thing, I don't really knock them for. I mean, I'm not the happiest person in the world about it, but they had to take Lonzo. It's the story, the fit, all of that stuff. That was the idea. Like he's the future point guard of that. But other than that, yes, you are right. What else? KD will not require as many picks because the returning players are better and more accomplished than the players and many in Utah deal. Yeah. Yes. Jaylen Brown's situation is the exact reason nobody can be mad at Durant. Yeah. Look, I don't blame. I'll never blame that kind of like that on people. I won't. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And again, I am blown away. We're at 4,010 subscribers. We got to 4K in this stream. That's just amazing to me. It really is. It's just mind blowing to me. And thank you, Biz. I really do appreciate it. Back in the day, Pacers wanted Bynum and Odom for Jermaine O'Neal. Lakers said no and got Powell for Kwame. Yeah, big pickup. And then the rest was history. I don't think Boston can bring back Jaylen after this. He may want to trade now. That's my. I just think that at this point, you almost have to get the deal done if you're Boston because you just burnt any bridge you had with him, and I don't blame him. I mean, like I said earlier, I've said this several times, like I would be so mad. Like I'm the only guy that showed up. I was the only guy that delivered and put up points, and like Jason Tatum he disappeared like on several occasions, especially in the playoffs. And now you're going to trade me? Like I don't know. But what else do we got? Why does everyone say LeBron is 39 years old? When I'm referencing 39, when he leaves, like after this season, he would be 39 years old and into it. So like what I was talking about earlier is after this upcoming season, if LeBron leaves, who's trading for a 39-year-old, player? Because that's where he would be at that point. I was pointing for channels like ESPN and Specs are very good for small channels, but Woj and Shams probably taking that out. I like the content, man. Well, thank you so much. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. From the comment earlier about the Woj and Shams. Yeah, those they're definitely taking those on that. Yeah, the big thing because I mean all the speculation stuff. But yeah, this is great for small. I mean, I'm a perfect example of how great this was for small channel. Like I said, a month and a half ago, I was at 250 subscribers. Now I'm at 4,000. I mean, and a lot of it has been on the back of like all of this just chaos in the season. So it was good timing by my part, I guess. A little bit of luck, a little bit of I guess entertainment on my part, but yeah, nonetheless, I am thankful. But all right, let's power through like 10 more questions. All right, we're gonna power through 10 more questions, then we out of here. If you have a question, dire need, super chat, get you ahead of allow you to be one of the top 10. Otherwise, I'm just gonna go in order here, and then we will again, of course, live stream tomorrow. What else we got? Our Lakers trade Russ and AD and picks for KD and Irving, and so on Uncle THC. I mean, if the Lakers could trade, make that deal, I would do that deal. I would not be against the Lakers doing that deal at all. And I actually do think it's a pretty good deal for both sides. Because again, the Nets have to remain competitive. They have to remain relevant. But yeah, if you could, I would do it. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum combined for over 50 points a game this year. They don't need more wing scoring. Got Brogdon to play point guard. I do agree that they are better off standing pat. I really do. I think that it would be. They with the experience, with the pieces that they got, with everything. I still don't think that they're the best team in the East, but I think that it's going to go a long way. And I do think that it would be in their best interest to stand pat. I don't think it's so much that like they need the scoring. It's the lack of Jason Tatum. Like Jason Tatum proved this entire playoff series that he disappears. And so I think that they need the idea is like we need a more consistent. We need a guy that could be more consistent, and they can't trade Tatum. So the only other option is trading Jaylen Brown. So the hope is you trade to get Kevin Durant. He can do a lot more scoring wise than Jaylen Brown can. And if we can get KD, maybe he can kind of rub off on Tatum a little bit, and Tatum can kind of like work with him and become a more consistent scorer. That's what I think it is. It's not so much that like, oh, we absolutely need this, that, and the other. I think it's more of like we struggled to score at times when we shouldn't have. And Jason Tatum completely disappears. So, like, if you could trade Jason Tatum for Kevin Durant, I would do that. I would. But I think Jaylen Brown, I think you need to keep him. And it's not that Jaylen Brown is better than Jason Tatum. It's just what Jaylen Brown offers, brings to the table, all that stuff. I just think he'd be a better fit next to him. But that's my point. I mean, I don't think Smart is overrated personally, but I think you essentially got your replacement for Marcus Smart in Brogdon. So I think you could move Marcus Smart, get KD, and you're still good. KD, Westbrook, and Harden are coming back to OKC to win one before they all retire. You here first. Hey, I would actually love to see that, if I'm being honest. Remember when the reporter asked Kyrie if LeBron is like his dad? Yes, I do. Man, hey, as much as these players can be a pain in the ass, like the reporters, some of the questions that these players get from reporters are just like mind blowing. LeBron plus Durant plus Kyrie, no one will beat that. My Lakers. Yeah, I think that's a lock contender. Do you prefer in the Russ trade, Kyrie trade, Seth or Harris? Assuming everyone was healthy, Harris. Like I think if Joe Harris was healthy, I think the Lakers would have done it. I think the big concern is like he's coming off of ankle surgery. Is he even going to be able to play this year? But Joe Harris and Seth Curry, if you go look up their numbers, they shot nearly the exact same percentage. So you're basically getting the same shooting. But Harris is bigger and plays better defense. I would choose Harris 10 out of 10 times. Yeah, KD definitely does have it. It's on full frozen mode. I like the Lakers with Westbrook and sharpshooters, and two rather trade away picks for Buddy Turner, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I've been a big like Russ supporter. I don't want to see the Lakers make a deal just for the sake of making a deal, and it ruins everything. That's just what I don't want. I'd rather at that point keep Russ, see what happens, or send him home and then go that route. What's going on, Marcus? I appreciate you. Thank you. What do you think about Christie? I think he is a 19-year-old project that has a lot of potential. I think that he he was picked up and drafted for that reason. He's 19. He's got some size. If you watched him in summer league, yes, he was terrible shooting wise, but there was a couple things to that. One, he clearly was forcing and trying to do too much. Like I remember I was watching one of the games and he got the ball like 3 straight possessions. And I was like, you're already on the team, dude. Like, relax, play into the flow. Like you're not trying. Like he was playing like a guy trying to make a roster rather than a guy who's already on the roster. And he just was doing too much. If they just let him take a step back, get his shot right, a lot of it was falling short. And that'll come with arm strength and stuff like that. Once he starts hitting the weight room and getting himself together, he has a nice looking shot. He's not like shooting like this or anything. He's got a good form, all that stuff. And then defensively, he was great. I mean, he was great on closeouts, everything. So I'm high on him. The Lakers haven't missed yet, so I can't really. I have to believe that they're willing to do that. They're willing to develop and grow him the way that it could. What else we got? Couple more questions here, and then we'll ride it out. Russ lost his confidence shooting. It was embarrassing. Its rivals Ben Simmons. Yeah, he's never really been a great shooter, regardless. But it is. It's one of those things. It's tough. What is going on, Callie? Appreciate you being here. Totally agree with you. You're Schroeder. If he can buy in, price is right, and accepts his role, he'd be an excellent backup for Kyrie. Yeah. It just depends. What Schroeder are we getting? Are we getting the one that is willing to buy in and do what is necessary for the betterment of the team, or are we getting one that thinks he's the superstar that turned down $80 million? Either way, I'm all for it. And thank you so much, and thank you all. Seriously, thank you all so very much. Without all of you, I'm just some dude talking to himself on a screen. So I'm very blessed. Lakers will make a move soon. They're more waiting. We'll change and they won't have to wait long. They don't miss out, man. Yeah, it'll. When push comes to shove, I do think that they will. I think they'll end up making it happen. I'm not really worried about it. But we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. Thank you so much, Carlos. Appreciate you. Lakers have a very small window to win. Who knows what they'll be after that? I'm with you, Brian. Like you're spot on. They do. And I really do think they make a deal. I really do think they make a trade. I think they get something done. What that trade is, I don't know. But I am glad that they are being patient. I'm glad that they're, taking their time. No need to rush. Do what you got to do. But when will the trade be official? I'm assuming you mean the Celtics trade. Nothing will be official until it's actually completed. So far, Boston threw in their initial offer. And then the Nets turned it down, as you do with the first offer. And then now it's just negotiations and trying to figure out what's to come. All right, last question. Let me find one more question. And then we're going to get out of here. What else? There we go. Do you think KD can handle the criticism if he goes to Boston? Feel like that would drive him nuts. I do, because one, I don't think he's gonna. I don't think there will be the initial jokes. The cue. You're like, oh, he was swept by them, and now he has to go join them again. But that's not his choice, right? It's not like when he signed with the Warriors, and it was like he could have went to 50 other teams, and he decided to go to the Warriors. It's like that. That's a big difference. I think a lot of this is out of his control. I think he'll have the initial criticism, but after that, I don't think they'll care. I don't think it'll be as big of a deal as it would be otherwise. Any team he goes to now, he's going to get criticism. I think if he goes to Boston and they're winning and they're good, I think in hindsight it won't matter. But anyway, that being said, I'm going to end the stream here. I thank you all so very much. We will definitely be back to stream again tomorrow. And then as soon as I complete the application, or when YouTube's done reviewing my As It Stands Lakers channel, which if you're not subscribed to the Lakers channel, subscribe to the Lakers channel, because here I talk about everything, all sports related, or at least mostly basketball, but yeah, all team stuff like that. Whereas It Stands Lakers is just dedicated to the Lakers, just the Lakers channel, which is my favorite team. I have a link for that in the description. So if you want to subscribe over there, go subscribe over there. Everybody that helped me reach 4K, we're at 4,013 subscribers. I am so very thankful for all of you doing that. But yeah, again, don't stop subscribing. If you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to like this video. Go subscribe to my Lakers channel. All of that stuff. Everybody that gave me super chats, thank you so much for reaching in your pockets and helping me out. It really does help the channel. It really does support. It really does is just very thankful and awesome. But again, I really do. I really do appreciate you. And I'll try to do the update because I know a lot of people earlier were talking about the Kyrie thing and the news that broke earlier. But we'll talk about that. I'll try to get it. I'll get a late night Kyrie video up for everybody. And then other than that, we'll stream tomorrow, and I will talk to you all in the next one.